What's up guys, welcome to Freedive Passion. This week I'm going to talk about pressure contractions and how to help get rid of pressure contractions. If you don't understand what this means, what pressure contractions are, then go and watch my last video. I'll put a link to that video in the description to this one. Pressure contractions are simply a reaction to your lungs being compressed as you dive deeper. The body contracts and tries to resist the compression of the lungs. Both the body and mind must be trained not to react and to be able to relax around this compression of the lungs. For all equalization below your residual volume, there's no need for any contraction of the abdominals, of the diaphragm, or the intercostal muscles. Whether you use reverse packing with Frenzel or you use mouth fill below your residual volume, there's no need for any movement below the glottis. But many times divers use unnecessary contraction when it comes to equalization and when they're below their residual volume. And this is kind of normal because under any other circumstance, contraction brings air. It brings air up, it creates an exhale, it creates an inhale, it brings air into the mouth if you need air to equalize. Basically the only situation that you'll ever be in is being below your residual volume where contraction won't bring you air. So let's say you exhale all of your air. Instinctively then, the body is going to contract the diaphragm and bring air back into the lungs. That's normal and that's what happens under almost every circumstance. Now, when you're at depth, you have this same compression of the lungs. You feel like there's no air in your lungs, and in truth, your lungs have actually been compressed more than what they ever have been before. So it's your instinct then to bring the diaphragm down to try and bring air back into the lungs. But of course the glottis is closed, you won't be able to do this. Thus it's manifested as a contraction. So what can we do to get rid of these unnecessary contractions and tensions which manifest in the body during deep diving? Well, the first thing to do is to separate the necessity of the movement in your respiratory muscles and the movement you need to equalize. So generally there's some connection with most people. When equalizing becomes more difficult, when there's less and less air, there's the temptation to try and push air from the lungs back into the mouth. Now below residual volume, this becomes very dangerous. Also, it's a main cause of pressure contractions. So to practice equalization, to do a lot of equalization training, while keeping your awareness that there's no reaction to what's happening in your mouth, in your throat, manifesting within the diaphragm, the abdominals, the chest muscles. Next, you can try practicing your equalization in the water. FRC is very useful for this because any tension within the body, it becomes much more apparent on FRC because you'll just feel it much stronger than what you would on a deep dive. Also, the added stress of actually being deep is not there, so you can give more attention to exactly what's happening within your body as you're trying to equalize. Another great thing about FRC diving is the pressure is actually much greater than what you feel at depth. So you're getting your mind, you're getting your body used to a large amount of pressure. So when you do an actual deep dive on full lungs, you're already used to a higher amount of pressure, so you're less likely to react, to contract, to this lesser feeling of pressure that you get at depth. From there, once you're sure you've separated the connection between equalizing and what's happening with your respiratory muscles, you could then begin to build up your depth with variable weight, head down. Now this is useful because once you reach your target depth or even exceed what your target depth would be in constant weight no fins or free immersion, and you're doing that without any contractions, if then, once you start to do your constant weight free immersion no fins, you start to get contractions on the way down, then you'll know that it's not due to pressure, it's due to one of the other causes of contractions, which I already discussed in the last video, which is linked below. On a side note, once you do switch to constant weight free immersion or no fins, and you start doing more and more deep dives, then you're gonna be able to do less per week. It's gonna cut down to maybe 2 deep dives a week, if you're smart. So this means you're becoming less and less accustomed to the feelings of pressure in your lungs, so it might be worth putting in some FRC training or RV training, whatever suits you the best, in between these deep dives during the week. Okay, so that's something you guys can think about and start to implement in your next training period. I hope this was interesting to you. I hope you learned something. Until next time, guys, take it easy and dive safe.